Yakuza Fiance. I first learned about this series while doing my most anticipated anime for 2024, and I have to say, it's very visually appealing to me. This studio also did Days with My Stepsister, so that should tell you. So the story follows Yoshino, our leading female, and Kirishima, our leading male. It starts with Kirishima at his residence looking at a picture that he requested. It is of a daughter of the Some house, a Yakuza group, and it turns out to be Yoshino. He says she's cute and he wants her to ruin his life. After this though, we get a scene where Yoshino confronts her grandpa, Some Renji, essentially saying, "What the hell am I reading?" It's a newspaper article about a truce between the Kanto and Kansai group, with her grandpa being the leader of the Kansai Yakuza. It is stated for the truce, the grandchildren for both of these factions will get married. He just signed her up for this. But yeah, she complains with good reason, and her grandpa says she doesn't have to marry him if she doesn't want to, but to just go and check things out. A few months pass and she does actually go to Tokyo though. Things here are way different than what she's used to. Here it's more of a classic heritage luxury place. Yoshino is assisted by people who stay here, and she meets Miyamugaku, that's the leader of the other Yakuza group, and also her fiance's grandpa. After a bit of talking, she asks where's Kirishima, because that is essentially the whole reason why she came here, right? But it turns out he was standing behind her the entire time. He had glasses on and was trying to surprise her. I will say that these two have very different looks than everyone else. He decides to show her around and says they made a room out of a big detached tea house so she can stay there for the time being. She says she's thankful but never actually says she was sure if she wants to stay here and get married to him. But surprisingly, he says it's fine, and it's crazy that people would still do arranged marriages in this day and age, and he was just happy that she met him and she could go home if she wanted. Fast forward half a year later and she is staying in Tokyo now. He seemed really nice and that really convinced her to stay, but we see both of them at school and she is kind of nervous, but he makes her feel better about the whole situation. She says to herself that she can't believe someone as nice as him is from a Yakuza family. So three people ask Yoshino if she and Kirishima are dating. She's at a bit of a standstill, you know. It's her first day, she doesn't know how to respond, and she is nervous. These are the first people talking to her, but they are rude as hell, saying don't waste their time and to give them a straight answer. Everyone is essentially watching her now because they noticed her with him. She has a huge target on her back now. Everyone else knows that he is the grandson of a Yakuza, which is partly why he is so popular. So she asks if he gets annoyed of people staring at him because of his status. He says in an odd expression he never thought about it, but who cares? And you can see that this sort of sends shivers down her spine. The next day comes and she wakes up in the middle of the night, still thinking about their conversation earlier. But she hears something and goes outside. She notices Kirishima just absolutely bloody, not his blood, but somebody else's. And now she kind of starts to realize, you know, maybe he's not as nice as he lets on. I think it's the next day, but Yoshino wants to get clothes and other necessities for herself, so she invites him out, even though she saw his true nature. Also, she apparently is getting bullied and is just getting her name dragged by girls in the school. It's just because she's spending time with Kirishima. They do their shopping now. It's late at night, but she is out of money. So she decides to go to the ATM alone. When she does, she gets followed and harassed by a group of 3 men. I'm sure you know how this next part goes. Kirishima shows up and destroys all 3 of them in pretty graphic fashion, might I add. To the last guy, he even says, "Hey, look at my face. That's my girl, and if you talk to her again, I will kill you and your entire family." God damn. But Yoshino had never been hit on before like this. It's because she herself was a granddaughter of a Yakuza, so people knew who she was and they weren't willing to make moves on her. But here it's different because not everyone knows her. As she keeps looking at him, she just gets more and more frightened, especially when she sees his tattoos. Now she sees his true side. He goes off on her saying how she is now starting to bore him. She is good looking and the granddaughter of a great Yakuza, but this is not what he wanted. He wanted a girl that would dig into him, not to just be calm and tame as Yoshino has been so far. She has been pampered and he can tell, so he tells her she can go back to Osaka, that's her home, or make herself useful and sell her body, because if you aren't going to be his woman, you can at least make him some money. She gets bullied even more after this though, and now at the point where she really wants to go home. But she gets a call from her grandpa and he can tell that she is not feeling great and she's sad, right? But he tells her not to come back for at least 1 year. He wants her to make Kirishima fall for her, and he says that's the best way to get back at him, to leave when he is madly in love with her. So she decides to do just that, and now she has resolve. So this is after weeks. She finds him at school and greets him. They talk for a little, and she says she knew he thought she would go back home and that he told her that she should sell her body to make herself useful, and he was actually sort of right about that because she had been doing nothing to carry her weight around here. So she did sell her body. Not in the way you're thinking, but a body part. A kidney for 4 million yen, and she drops the money in his face and says she refuses to go back to Osaka, and she confronts these bullies finally who have been just on her ass for weeks for being friendly with Kirishima, showing a nice crazy moment from her. But this guy Kirishima is absolutely smitten by her at this moment. This is what he has wanted all along. He is a masochist. He wanted a girl that will put him in his place. He tells her he loves her and he genuinely wants to get married now. So even though she is, for the most part, acting, she is still crazy as fuck. And he is just crazy in general. He isn't acting like she is. They're both toxic though. This series, although I don't see it being a top tier romance, seems fun enough to keep me entertained for the weeks that it's airing. It's in a very stacked season, so it may not get as much recognition as it would in the previous seasons. I've seen plenty of people talk about it. Let me know what you thought of this episode and if you are watching this series, and I will see you next time.